You know, every year Time magazine does a person of the year, and we're the experts on words, so why don't we come up with a word of the year? And that was starting in 1990, so we came up with a word that year. And we gradually developed the procedures for doing it to ensure that those who vote on it would take some time to think about it. And also there's no scientific criteria. It's just from all the words used during the past year, which word or words, or sometimes it's a phrase or an abbreviation, but which one really seems to express the concerns and attitudes of the year gone by.
Well, it does show how our online communication is broadening beyond things that we traditionally think of as words. And so we started actually, we introduced the hashtag category last year. It was a new category that we introduced. And in fact, the winner of that category, Black Lives Matter, ended up winning the overall vote as well. And so even though something like Black Lives Matter is clearly a few words that are stuck together in the form of a hashtag, it's working as a unit in an interesting way, and it's becoming a kind of a vehicle for expressing political and social ideas. And so we continued that this year. We continued the hashtag category and added another category for emoji. Now that is really stretching the boundaries of what we might consider a word, but very often emoji may be used in a way that is like a word, is used in a lexical fashion. So, you know, it's, we'll see how things go with the overall voting, but when we had our nominating session last night, there was enough interest in creating a special category that we can talk about emoji, even if we decide to stick to regular words for the nominees for the main voting for Word of the Year.
Although they're a kind of pictographic language, but you read about them, there are articles about them, and it's pointed out that, after all, Chinese, for example, when written down, is kind of symbolic. It represents not the sounds, but the images. And that's, everyone agrees that Chinese is a written language, is a language. So I think it fits in perfectly well, and if we get new categories, we'll just have to deal with them. I think there's often a false sense that this is the turning point. From now on, this particular usage will be accepted and won't be argued about. But you look at 100 years ago and you find the same sorts of arguments, the same sorts of senses that either this is a good way to do things or it's the end of civilization. I think that 100 years from now, they will still be a bit of a discussion point.
If I had to guess, I would say that singular they has the best chance of winning of the ones that we've nominated so far. There's been a lot of discussion this year about something that's actually existed in the language for centuries, because English does not have a standard pronoun that you can use for a singular third-person pronoun if you want to remain gender neutral. So this is something that people have used for a long time, taking that plural pronoun and making it singular, but very often it's to express a kind of a generic person, like everyone or anyone. But what we're seeing increasingly, which is an interesting new development, is using that pronoun they for a known person who might actually take on that pronoun as a form of identity, moving beyond the traditional gender binary of the he and she pronouns, and using they for people who might identify, for instance, as transgender or you know, gender fluid, gender queer. There are a lot of terms for people who consider themselves non-binary. 18 in the back gives us 25 for Ghost, so the winner without a runoff is Singular They, your award of the year for 2015. We'll see you in a year.